Welcome back to the Penn State Wrestling Show. I'm Thomas Frank Carr. Greg was off, then I was off. It's the summer, and so everyone's trying to get in some getaway time whenever it happens. So it's been a couple weeks since we've been here on the Penn State Wrestling Show, but we are back to recap Final X and then set you up for what's coming up next with the Nittany Lions, which, Greg, as you said before we get into this, is going to lead into the season. Like, there's going to be a break, and then we're going to get into what's coming up for really the ramp up for the 2026-2027 season. So appreciate you being here. Appreciate you doing this. And what's been going on? What's been going on since the last time you and I talked?
Yeah, so to your point, T. Frank, and it's a good one, now that Final X is in the books, the offseason actually sort of begins now for Penn State wrestlers and Penn State coaches. Now, look, not all of the wrestlers competed in the freestyle scene after the 2026 NCAA season ended with Penn State winning its latest national title. And these guys don't take breaks, as we well know. Like Cale Sanderson, multiple years in a row now after winning the national championship, more or less said, yeah, like we'll probably take Sunday off. You know, he's talking Saturday night afterwards. Says, yeah, we'll take Sunday off because they have to travel back to State College. Then they'll be back in the room Monday and going at it again, getting ready for whatever comes next. So, you know, if these guys were going to take some vacation or whatever it might be, they have some time to do so now that Final X is in the books and there is a break at long last following, you know, what was an extremely busy last year for anyone who competes in folk style, NCAA wrestling, and then freestyle. I mean, it was about a month break between the NCAA championships and the U.S. Open, which led us to the start of the path to Final X, which, of course, like we said, went into the books last weekend.
Yeah, and that month is not like they're hanging out. They're probably having to recondition themselves for a different style of wrestling and prepare for what's coming up next, which we are now at the end of. So let's get into Final X. Nittany Lions did very well as usual. So just take us through the rundown of what you saw and what you made of what you saw with the Final X competition.
Yeah, so 9 of the 10 World Team spots are set for the men's freestyle Team USA, which will compete at Worlds in October in Kazakhstan. So Penn State will have 5 of the 10 wrestlers going to Kazakhstan for the 2026 Senior World Wrestling Championships. The 10th spot, it will either be Real Woods from Iowa or Bo Bassett, who, of course, is going to Virginia Tech. Those two, Real Woods was in the hospital, so their Final X match was delayed. The date for that is not yet set. Either way, they're not Penn State guys. Either way, Penn State has 5 between the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club and the Penn State team itself. 5 of the 10 Team USA members who are going to Senior World. So it was a very good Friday in Newark, New Jersey at the Prudential Center last week for Penn State. Nittany Lions wrestled well. Maybe not everything went exactly according to plan, and they would love, obviously, to have Luke Littledahl on the team as well. He is the only NLWC/Penn State participant at Final X who did not make it. So we can start with him before getting into the guys that won, T. Frank. He lost to Spencer Lee, the former Iowa standout, one-time Olympic silver medalist back in 2024. He lost his series to Spencer Lee 2-1, but I thought was obviously very competitive and did very well as he heads into his junior season. Just Spencer Lee is on a little bit of a different level. He's an older guy, a more experienced guy in this discipline. And, you know, Luke Littledahl has a ton of international freestyle success in his past as well. Spencer Lee was just a little bit better on this particular day, which, again, he's a previous silver Olympic world medalist, and he has had success at world championships before. So nothing for Luke Littledahl to hang his head about, for sure. He will continue to train, and he can compete in some other events, which we'll talk about a little bit. But
can I jump in and ask you? Yeah, I just wanted to ask a follow-up question here because we talked about Luke Littledahl, early in his career where age and relative strength are going to be a disadvantage for him at a certain point. Now heading into his junior season, is that still part of the conversation with a guy who is, as you mentioned, older and fully like into his professional career like Spencer Lee, or is this just, as you mentioned, Spencer Lee's really good and Luke Littledahl may get there someday, but just isn't there yet? I'm just curious what you think of the physical development aspect of that in this particular matchup.
Yeah, no, I think it's the latter. Obviously, Luke Littledahl beat Spencer Lee at the U.S. Open, beat him in a close match. And so these two are kind of neck and neck. Spencer Lee got the better of Luke Littledahl at Final X in a best-of-3 series. But that doesn't mean if they wrestled it today, Luke Littledahl would lose again. You know, it could very well go 2-1 the other way. I don't think either of these guys are sweeping the other one in a best-of-3 series anytime soon, which says a lot about the levels that Luke Littledahl has jumped over the last couple of years. Obviously, comes off an NCAA title in folk style in 2026, and then does as well as he could in the freestyle scene in the, domestic category, finishing one step away from being the Team USA rep at 57 kilograms for the Senior World Championships. But yeah, he continues on an upward trajectory. Obviously, like I said, he beat Spencer Lee already once this year, so not like it's impossible. Well, beat him twice, once at the US Open and then once in their best of three that he lost at Final X. So yeah, he's right there, and he continues to jump levels and impress as he gets ready to head into his junior season.
Okay, so take us through the rest of the results.
Yeah, so the 5 Penn State wrestlers who won, I guess let's just start with the obvious one. You're probably not going to like this because we usually save the best for last, but I'll start with the best for first. So Marcus Blaze, the Penn State 131-pound starter, takes out Jax Forrest of Oklahoma State in the finals at Final X to take the 61-kilogram spot. He won the final match 4-1. Essentially, and I think most of you has probably seen the video by now, but he got a takedown on the edge of the mat late in round 3 to take a lead, and then got Forrest in a gut wrench, and it looked like Forrest almost had a little bit of a folk style freestyle brain fart, for lack of a better way to put it, and kind of gave up a little bit on the edge, and Marcus rolled him for another 2 points, and that ended up being a big exchange in that match and led Marcus Blaze to win it and take the 61-kilogram spot for Team USA at Senior World. So just an impressive performance from two guys who obviously are the future of this sport in the lightweights for years to come, whether they both stay at 33, whether one goes up to 41 and one, we'll see. Obviously, time will tell on that front. But super impressed by Marcus Blaze. I know that some out there were frustrated by his first college season, and especially the lack of offense at times against some of the better wrestlers he faced. But in freestyle is a little bit of a different beast. And he said it afterwards when he was talking to USA Wrestling and Flo and some others. I believe on three's Nick Costco was there as well, when he said that, Jax was the best freestyle or folk style wrestler this season. And right now, based on the results of Final X, Marcus has a leg up on him in the freestyle realm at the moment. So very good tournament for Marcus Blaze, and we'll see what he can do from here moving forward as he gets ready for Senior Worlds. But very impressive performance from him, and sets him up nicely going into his sophomore season.
So who are the other, in level of interest or level of excitement from the way it all played out? Who's next on your list?
Yeah, so Levi Haynes, let's start with him, the recent Penn State alum, two-time NCAA champ. He's only 21. It just blows my mind every time I say that. I know we talked about that a few weeks ago during our last show, T. Frank, but this guy is 21. He's already a multi-time NCAA champ. He has medaled on the world stage already, and he is going back to Senior Worlds at 79 kilograms after beating Chance Marsteller at Final X in a pretty good series in which he dominated the first round. And I didn't think there would be a second match in this series, quite honestly, but there was. Marsteller won round 2, and then Levi was able to come out and win pretty handily in round 3. So, point being, no, that doesn't sound right to me. Let me go look something up here. But while I do that, I will talk just about Levi Haynes. This is a guy who, again, could very well be wrestling at U23s if he wanted to, which is absurd to think that he is already graduated from college, already out of college eligibility, which one thing we'll talk about towards the end of the show is this new NCAA eligibility rule and what it means for wrestling. But before, let's not get into that too far. But point being, Levi Haynes could, if he was 1 year earlier, have another season of college eligibility, but that is not going, that's not how things worked out. But
let me provide you some cover here to read what you need to read. I just want to remind fans that if you want more of Greg's reporting, go to bluewhiteillustrated.com, subscribe for 50% off, and you get access to all of our premium content, all of the wrestling forum, all that stuff, plus our football, basketball. We have some hockey coverage occasionally, and you can check it out for 50% off. Plus, you get our national content on 3 Rivals and a year of access to The Athletic. If you're enjoying the recap of Final X, like this video and subscribe here to the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. We do this year-round, not every single week because, we have a bunch of other things going on, and maybe in July when there's no wrestling, we might not be here every week, but we will have it every week during the Penn State football and wrestling season. We'll be here with you, making sure you get that content during the busiest time of the Penn State calendar. So, Greg, always appreciate you doing this. Always appreciate you being here. Did I give you enough time? Did you get what
did,
you
yeah.
needed?
Levi Haynes swept that series. I don't know why I had in my notes it was 2-1. That's just silliness. I was thinking of the Kyle Dake, Zahid Valencia series, but no, Levi Haynes looked dominant in this one. Chance Marsteller needed some injury time more often than not. Don't know if he was a little bit gassed, if he came in with an injury, or if he sustained one during the match. Maybe a little bit of both. But yeah, Levi Haynes looked great. He will be, I think, the favorite to win gold at 79 kilograms based on the way things look in terms of who will be competing at Worlds. And just a terrific tournament for him as a guy that just continues to impress every single time he takes the mat.
All right, so who's up next?
Yeah, so let's get to the NLWC members. We talked about Levi Haynes, Marcus Blaze, two guys who are more closely connected to the current team. Let's get to three guys who have either graduated from Penn State in the case of Zane Rutherford, or obviously two guys who are just members of the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. We'll go in weight class order. Zane Rutherford took out former Nebraska Ridge Lovett 2-1 and 8-2 to sweep that series, get back onto the world team, and take the 70 kilogram spot. I mean, he hasn't done a ton of wrestling, T. Frank, over the last year, and he pops back up at World Team Trials in late May, wins there, and then comes here to Final X and wins pretty handily. The second match more so than the first, but such a tremendously technically sound defensive wrestler who just, he's tough to score on. And when he gets his offense going off of that, he's even more dangerous. So really impressed by him. Obviously a former Penn State alum who has been on the international scene for a few years now, doing some RAF wrestling as well. And so we'll see what he can do at Worlds now that he's heading back there. But few can score on him. It's a matter of whether he scores enough. Obviously, we'll just have to wait and see. But every indication so far is that he is back at a high level and should have no issue competing for a medal, particularly gold at Senior World. So that was 70 kilograms, how he got that spot at 86 kilograms, the one I was thinking of earlier. Kyle Dake lost the opener to former 2025, well, not former, but 2025 world champ Oklahoma State RTC wrestler Zahid Valencia 3-2. And then came back to win rounds 2 and 3, 4-1 and 4-0 to take the 86 kilogram spot back again. I was impressed. I thought after the first round that not that Dake was without a shot to come back and win 2 in a row, but it certainly looked like it was going to be a tall mountain to climb, and he found a way to climb it. And Valencia, I think, maybe looked a little bit tired in that third round, and that probably helped Dake a little bit, but Dake looked tremendous. And even in the match that he lost, it's not that he looked bad. Just didn't come out with some of the things he needed in a 3-2 match. So he went back, took some time to regroup, and then comes out and ultimately outscores Zahid Valencia, who's coming off a gold medal in 2025, 8-1 in the final 2 matches to take the 86 kilogram spot. And then at 97 kilograms, Kyle Snyder surprisingly had to go 3 rounds against Stephen Buchanan to make his 12th straight world and or Olympic team, which is absurd. Just think about that for a second. 12 straight world or Olympic teams. He seemingly had the match wrapped up in round 2, ended up in a sequence where it looked like points were going his way. But there was a penalty call, a +1 penalty call on the edge against him for what, USA Wrestling has not come out and said what the penalty was for. All reporting from those who were there and some people who have watched the video say it was him, the referee ruling that he put his head out of bounds to stop the action and get a restart intentionally, which I think if you watch the video is a little bit absurd, but that was a call. So he lost round 2, came out with a vengeance in round 3. T. Frank just was a man on a mission to leave no doubts, and he did not, winning round 3 over Stephen Buchanan 9-3. So that's your NLWC group going to the senior worlds. Again, Marcus Blaze, Levi Haynes, Nate Rutherford, Kyle Dake, and Kyle Snyder. So 5 out of 10 going to Senior Worlds come from Penn State and the NLWC, following a good Final X for that group over in New Jersey.
Yeah. So next up is the U20 and U23. So what's going on? What are we looking for with these 2 tournaments coming up a little bit later in the summer?
Yeah, so like we said, a little bit of a break here until wrestling resumes August 16th through 23rd in Slovakia, where U20 Worlds are this year. At this moment, and I don't expect this to change, only one Penn State connection will be competing there, incoming freshman multi-time and New Jersey State champ Jaden James is going to represent Team USA and Penn State at 74 kilograms, 163.1 pounds. That bracket will wrestle August 22nd and 23rd. That's a Saturday and Sunday, the penultimate Saturday and Sunday before Penn State football season starts. But as for wrestling, it'll be back on the mat then when Jaden James competes for the U20 team. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know anything about the competition he will face based on what I know about how he wrestles and who he had to get through to get onto the Team USA for the U20 World Championships. There's no, and then, you know, what he's done previously on the international scene, I would say that he's probably favored to win a gold medal, but time will tell as it gets closer.
Gotcha. So U23, what else we got coming up this year?
Yeah, so U23 Worlds are October 12th through 18th in Las Vegas. Jaden James will wrestle there as well at 74 kilograms for Team USA. And then the questions start for Penn State, T. Frank. He is a certainty to compete there. After that, we're not sure. So Luke Littledahl, because he was a runner-up at Final X, is eligible to take the U23 57 kilogram spot if he wants it. I would assume he does. So I would expect him to wrestle at U23s in October. Marcus Blaze is also eligible as the winner of Final X at 61 kilograms for that spot if he wants it. The going theory, though, is that with U23s October 12th through 16th and Senior Worlds October 24th through November 1st, the running theory is that no one's going to do both, even if they're eligible to. So I would expect Jax Forrest to represent Team USA there if he wants at U23s, and for Marcus Blaze to pass on the ability to do so. Levi Haynes, like we mentioned, it's insane as he gets ready to go back on his second Senior World team, but he is eligible for the 79 kilogram U23 spot if he wants it. Again, I don't expect him to take it. The one difference with him, T. Frank, is he has no college season to worry about. So He could wrestle back-to-back and maybe not be as impacted as some of these other guys. I still don't expect it. Why put yourself in a position to potentially get hurt that close to Senior World? So we'll see. I would expect him to turn it down, but time will tell. Josh Barr would be possibly a pick for the Team USA coaching staff at 97 kilograms. We'll have to wait and see. And then Connor Mirasola, if Oklahoma State's Kobe Merrill turns down the 125 kilogram spot, could potentially work his way into the lineup at 125 at heavyweight for U23 Worlds. So the final decisions are due soon. They never seem to get announced as soon as they're due. And I think they're due like pretty much going right into July 4th weekend. So I don't know if we're going to get a holiday weekend announcement. So yeah, I would say within the next 2 weeks.
Hopefully for your sake, not. Like, hopefully not.
It's fine either way. But I think within the next 2 weeks, we should have a resolution to who is going to U23 Worlds from Penn State. And then, as we mentioned, we just recap Senior Worlds, so everyone knows enough about that. October 21st through November 1st. Penn State, the freestyle contingent, I believe it's a little bit of a wonky schedule. I'll have to look that up. We'll talk about that down the road. But I believe that's the Saturday and Sunday. That was when they wrestle men's freestyle, so the end of that tournament. But I'll double check that, or you can always look at the Wrestling Room Forum over on BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. We always have the schedule there. But yeah, that's where we're at. We have a little bit of a break in the action here. I mean, there'll be some high school stuff, I'm sure, some recruiting stuff, some schedule news, but it's June 24th, and the Penn State wrestling offseason is sort of as off as it's going to get, despite the fact that NCAA's ended, obviously, in late March.
Yeah, there's always a lot to talk about in the summer, and you do an awesome job with that. But there's also the rules changes. You teased this at the beginning of the show, so I just wanted to follow up here at the end. You mentioned the 5-for-5 rule and the effect on wrestling. Penn State has done a good job of cycling through red shirts with guys that are ready to wrestle early, but then, have the opportunity to take a red shirt after that. Just curious your thoughts on how that affects the Nittany Lions and the plans they've already put in place and the opportunities or issues it may present to have everybody have eligibility for the entire time they're on campus.
Yeah, so I do want to wait until we get, and I think this is probably going to take a couple days till we get the final sheet of information, because the way you can read the initial news release is that Olympic red shirts are among the things that are gone, along with medical waivers and just regular red shirts and so on and so forth. So it changes a lot about your roster construction. Penn State obviously has long been able to juggle its lineup with red shirts and Olympic red shirts and things like that, and that's not as it is currently written. If it changes, we'll let you know. And again, you can follow along on the Wrestling Room Forum if we don't happen to have a video live, with the most recent information. But as we sit here on June 24th, all that stuff looks to be out the window, which in theory is going to change the way Penn State constructs its lineup. There's no need to maybe redshirt guys and juggle guys around. You just let the best guys wrestle for the spot, and if they win it, great. And if not, then, better luck down the road. So,
yeah,
there's so many questions around this, though. There's going to be lawsuits, as everyone's aware, in college sports. The lawsuits, as far as I know, really haven't hit college wrestling so much, but basketball, football, without question. And so we'll see how this all shakes out when all the dust settles. But for Penn State, they go into this year knowing, at least at the moment, that 5 for 5 is the new lay of the land. And, we can talk more down the road how that could impact the lineup this year and so on and so forth. But certainly will cause a change for Penn State. And this is not, and what I'll say is I've seen some panic out there from Penn State fans. And it's not like Cale Sanderson and his coaching staff woke up Tuesday morning as we record this on June 24th. This news came out on June 23rd, late on Tuesday. It's not like they woke up and just found out this was coming. I mean,
that's us. That's
right.
us. We found that out. They've been thinking about it for a while.
Yes. So whatever plan they need to have in place and conversations they need, but even back when the transfer portal was open, T. Frank, like the likelihood of this coming, I wouldn't say it was cemented in stone, but it was written in pretty permanent pencil, if that makes any sense at all. It was everything everyone knew the likelihood that this was coming back when the portal was open. So, I don't think this is an end-all be-all for Penn State and going to change the complete way in which they operate. Certainly next year's portal cycle will be interesting across all sports. Now this is in effect, but we'll just have to wait and see. That's a long way off. At least for now, I just wanted to make everyone aware that it's happening, and it will change college wrestling, and not just Penn State's lineup construction, but lineup construction across the sport. And what that means for 2026, 2027, we'll just have to wait and see. There is also, I should note, and this will, I think, come out later today, but the NCAA Division I Council is trying to put a new start date rule in so that you could not start matches earlier than the 20th Friday before the start of the NCAA championships. So this year that would be in late October, which is right around the time Penn State and everyone else starts anyway. So for what it's worth, that's probably coming down the pipeline as well. We can cover all that the next time we are together here, T. Frank.
All right, that'll do it for today here on the Penn State Wrestling Show on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. For Greg Pickel, I'm Thomas Frank Carr. Make sure you subscribe here so that when we go live and we have the information you want to know, you get a notification about it. And of course, if you want more, go to BlueWhiteIllustrated.com to the wrestling forum to hang out with Greg and talk about all this stuff. So, till the next time we're back, that's the Penn State Wrestling Show. We'll talk to you next time.